Warm up while you can. We will deploy soon. Hostiles dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
EKIA!
Enemy dropping into the AO. Preparation is done. Now you deploy to the war zone. Survive and your team can redeploy. Eliminate targets to bring them back faster.
Marking contract.
Enemy soldier incoming.
overhead.
Moving.
Enemy UAV active. Hostile UAV in the area. Enemy UAV active.
Taking effective fire. Moving. Mid-cal round.
We are returning to the front. Earn this. Your squad mate is redeployed. Well done.
Took a round.
You're losing round.
Lead mid-cal round.
Move to the safe zone.
Armor here. Found some cash.
You've got a loadout drop inbound.
Enemy UAV overhead. Hostile UAV in the area.
Got a field upgrade
Enemy
active
UAV
here.
overhead.
Ammo depot here. Got a custom weapon here. Marking enemy. Found their sniper. Enemy sniper here. Moving here.
Hostile UAV in the area.
Marking enemy.
Redeployment time reduced. You have reinforcements inbound.
Marking enemy.
Time for vengeance. You're redeploying. Hostiles dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Your squad mate's back on station. Good work.
Destiny moving here.
Gas is inbound. You're back on station. Get after it.
I've been hit.
Chicago, fight through that pain!
Some of your team is still outside the safe zone.
Enemy UAV active. Enemy UAV overhead.
Tag me.
Right near your position.
Sniper's down.
Dropping some armor!
Your squad mate is redeploying. Well done.
Hostile UAV in the area.
We got
Enemy
an ammo
UAV
box here.
active. Friendly UAV on station.
Enemy buy station incoming. Enemy dropping into the AO. Fire sale active. Buy station prices have been reduced. Be advised, enemies deployed a buy station. Be advised, an enemy bomb detonator is in your area. Locate and secure it.
Hostile UAV in the area.
Moving here.
Enemy UAV active. Enemy UAV overhead.
Enemy move.
Watch your
Sighted
six.
here.
Resurgence window is ending. Enemy soldier incoming. Fire sales over. Adjusting prices.
I'm getting stitched up!
You have reinforcements inbound.
Hostile airstrike near your location.
Gas is moving. Head to the safe zone now.
Hostile UAV in the area.
Enemy dropping into the AO.
Puta madre! Flame, come around!
Fought hard out there. Return to base for debrief. chances.
Season 4 is finally here, and I got the best settings for you guys. So we're starting here in Windows. We're going to go to the search bar and type in game, and you're going to see game mode settings pop up. So click on that. On the left side here, make sure you're under game mode and then turn game mode on. On the right side, you're going to see graphics settings. Now, a lot of you guys are going to have this checked on where it says hardware and turn game mode on. On the right side, you're going to see graphic settings. Now, a lot of you guys are going to have this checked on where it says hardware accelerated GPU scheduling, but you actually want to turn this off. In most games, having this turned on is actually going to improve your performance, but I just benchmarked the difference between having this on and off, and as you can see by the benchmarks, we are actually getting more FPS by having this turned off. But then we're going to go back to the search bar and we are going to type in background, and you're going to see background apps pop up here, and you want to turn this off because otherwise these apps are all going to be running in the background when you're gaming, which will affect performance. And then if you do use Google Chrome, open it up and click the three dots in the top right hand corner and then click on settings, and it'll bring up these options here on the left. So from there, click on system, and you'll see it says continue running background apps when Google Chrome is closed. Make sure to turn that off, otherwise Google Chrome is far. And if you want to benchmarks and the see here before everything top, and then you'll see NVIDIA control panel, and we're going to be starting here under manage 3D settings. So I want link is in the description, and use code WEBSY for yes on hotel, and then NVIDIA control panel for a discount on anything on the website. But from there, we're going to open up the NVIDIA control panel. If you don't know how to do that, just right click your desktop and then you'll see NVIDIA control panel, and we're going to be starting here under manage 3D settings. So I want you guys to just copy all of these settings down here. Now, one thing to mention is that if you're getting a lot of stuttering issues in the game, one thing you can try doing is changing the shader cache size here from driver default to something like 10 or 100 gigabytes. But keep in mind, this is under manage 3D settings. So I want storage on your PC, but if it's full, and don't forget to apply your settings and click yes. From there, maybe you don't want to put it up to 65%, or if this isn't saturated enough, it is set correctly in your NVIDIA control. It is set correctly in your NVIDIA control panel. Does give the least amount of input lag possible, but I like to tab out of my game all the time, which is why I play in full screen borderless. It just makes that a lot easier. But the problem with playing in full screen borderless is that it locks your screen refresh rate. So if you do want to play in borderless, make sure your refresh rate is set correctly in your NVIDIA control panel. Otherwise, if you're playing in full screen exclusive, you won't have to worry about it because you can just select it here. Dynamic resolution, make sure this is turned off. If it's turned on, your game's going to look like absolute crap, because what happens when you turn this on is your resolution is dynamically adjusting to try meeting the target frame rate that you would set here under show more, and in order to hit that target frame rate, your resolution is going to keep dropping. It is going to look absolutely terrible. VSync for both gameplay and menus, always turn these off. These will fix screen tearing, but it's going to introduce a lot of input lag, which is terrible in an FPS game. And then there's nothing else too important under here except for display gamma. If you're playing on a computer monitor, make sure this is on 2.2. If you're playing on like a big screen TV or whatever, you could try 2.4, but for the majority of you, you want this set to 2.2. And then let's move on over to the but it's going to introduce a lot of input lag, which is terrible. And dynamic resolution, make sure this is turned off. If it's turned on, your game's going to look like absolute crap, because what happens when you turn this on is your resolution is dynamically adjusting to try meeting the target frame rate that you would set here under show more. And in order to hit that target frame rate, your resolution is going to keep dropping. It is going to look absolutely terrible. VSync for both gameplay and menus, always turn these off. These will fix screen tearing, but it's going to introduce a lot of input lag, which is terrible in an FPS game. And then there's nothing else too important under here except for display gamma. If you're playing on a computer monitor, make sure this is on 2.2. If you're playing on like a big screen TV or whatever, you could try 2.4, but for the majority of you, you want this set to 2.2. And then let's move on over to the quality tab. Always make sure that your render resolution is set to 100. If it's set lower, your game's gonna look like absolute trash. If it's set higher, it might look a little more sharp, but you're gonna lose a lot of FPS. And for upscaling / sharpening, we want this set to Fidelity FX Cast. This is going to give you the best visibility possible in the game. This will be at the cost of some FPS, but any of these other options all kind of look like crap in comparison to this. And visibility is extremely important in Warzone. You need to see these players at longer ranges. And then if you click show more here, you can adjust the strength of it, which will adjust just how sharp the game looks. So I have it set to 80, but if you want your game to look sharper, you could try turning it up. If you don't want it to look as sharp, you could turn it down, but I generally recommend having this set pretty high, because the sharper your image, the better your visibility is going to be at longer ranges. Anti-aliasing here, we want this set to SMAAT2X, and then anti-aliasing quality set to low. But one thing you're going to notice with this is that there's going to be like this shimmering effect around a lot of edges, and that can bother some people, and you can kind of see it here. And then when I turn the setting up, it gets rid of that effect for the most part. But the problem with turning your anti-aliasing up is that you're going to lose a significant amount of FPS. So you have to decide, do you want a huge boost to your FPS, or do you want to get rid of that shimmering effect? Personally, the shimmering effect doesn't bother me, but if it does bother you, set it to filmic and then to normal. But if it doesn't bother you, set this to SMAAT2X and then low. And then video memory scale, we have set to 80 here. And then texture resolution, I have this set to low. Now, obviously setting this to very low is going to give you the most amount of FPS, but if you look at the textures on this gun here, it looks like crap. It looks absolutely terrible. But as soon as we turn the textures to low, you can see a drastic change in how good those textures look. And then once we start getting up to the normal and high settings, the difference in quality of the textures doesn't look all that much different. So it's not really worth setting this too high and losing FPS over a very small difference in terms of quality. And the same thing applies here for texture filter anisotropic. We want this set to low, as well as nearby and distant level of detail. We want these both set to low. Clutter draw distance, you do want to set this to short. And then particle quality, we want set to low. Particle quality level set to very low. I realize we're setting a lot of these settings to low or very low, but guys, the difference in quality of the game doesn't look all that much different, and you'll get a huge boost in FPS by doing so. And then bullet impacts, we want this turned off. Persistent damage layers, we have this turned off. Did I say bullet impacts off? I meant to say on. And then shader quality set to low. Tessellation turned off. On-demand texture streaming, we want this turned off. If you turn this on here, what the game is doing is it's downloading textures to your computer while you're playing the game, which could introduce lag. So definitely make sure that is turned off. Scrolling down a bit, streaming quality, we want set to low. Volumetric quality set to low. Deferred physics quality off. And then water quality here, we have set to default. Moving down to shadow and lighting. Now, shadow map resolution is something I've seen talked about a lot. I personally have this set to very low, and as you can see here, the shadows on very low look like absolute crap. And if that bothers you, you could turn this up. But to be honest, even on the higher settings, the shadows still do kind of look like crap, which is why I just went for very low. I really could care less how shadows look. And setting your shadows to very low gives a huge boost to your FPS. But if you hate how the shadows look on very low, I would recommend doing normal if you want them to look somewhat decent. But if you just want the max FPS, put it to very low. Screen space shadows, we have turned off. Spot shadow quality turned low. Spot cache, we have turned low. But spot cache is a setting you can change if you are having stuttering issues. So if you're getting a lot of really bad stuttering, try setting it to high or ultra and see if that helps fix the issue for you. And then particle lighting, we have set to low. Ambient occlusion off. Screen space reflections off. Static reflection quality low. Weather grid volumes off. And then NVIDIA reflex low latency, we want this turned on. Depth of field, world motion blur, weapon motion blur, film grain terrain, turn all that off. That's just introducing screen effects, which are going to absolutely destroy your visibility. Then moving over to the view tab, field of view is personal preference. If you want to see more around you, raise it up. ADS field of view though, you definitely want this set to affected because it is going to help your recoil control immensely, but this will be at the cost of you having your reticle more zoomed out when you ADS. So it will make it harder to see and hit people at longer ranges, but you will have significantly less recoil. Weapon field of view and vehicle field of view, I have these both set to default. Now you could set these to wide if you want your gun to look a little smaller, which could increase your visibility, but I just prefer how it looks on default. And then first